Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. We are from Group 4. Today, our group will make a presentation regarding the comparative views of four major mazhabs relating to the zakat. First of all, I will introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Khairun Hazib bin Abdul Fattah, following by our group member Muhammad Syahmi bin Sukri, Muhammad Faris Hilman bin Abdul Rahman, and Muhammad Amirul Amin bin Ahmad Khalil. Next, we go to the table of contents for our presentation. So it contains the introduction, content, which is we will discuss about the issues regarding paying zakat to asnaf outside Malaysia and paying zakat to non-Muslim, and our slide presentation will be finished by the conclusion.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Amirul Amin bin Ahmad Khalil. I would like to present about the introduction of zakat. Okay, in Islam, zakat is one of the pillars of religion where zakat is the fourth pillar and is an obligation that have been set for Muslim in the Al-Quran, Sunnah and the consensus of scholars. The proof of the obligation of zakat worship is based on the word of Allah SWT in Surah An-Nur, which means Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأطيعوا الرسول لعلكم ترحمون. The meaning, and perform the prayers and pay the zakat and obey the apostle, surely you will get mercy. Surah An-Nur, verse 56. Okay. Zakat also is a practice that can cleanse oneself and one's property. That we can see in the Al-Quran, it is clearly stated that the property we have should be purified by paying zakat. That is Allah SWT said in Surah At-Taubah verse 103, which means Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. خذ من أموالهم صدقة تطهرهم وتزكيهم بها وصل عليهم, which means take, O Muhammad, which is from zakat, from their property deeds with which you purify it and cause it to increase, and ask for God mercy upon them. Okay, as we can see, based on the words above, we can understand that by giving zakat describe a person in fact has cleansed the property of dirt. Property used in daily life is sacred and clean property. In addition, the words show that Allah SWT assures that the person who spend his property to give zakat in the way of Allah SWT, then his property will always be blessed by Allah SWT. The blessing of word will have a positive impact on a person who will get blessing in his life. Next slide is about the meaning of zakat. Okay, the meaning of zakat according to the language mean an-namau, which is to grow, or tahir, which is purification. Meanwhile, according to the term of Sharak, zakat has two meaning, namely expansion and purification. Because in Islam, by issuing zakat is the reason for the emergence of blessing and cleanliness of property, while the word zakat is the basic word for masdar from zakat, which means blessing, grow, clean, and good. In addition, zakat can also be defined as cleanliness or purify, growing, and the last is increasing. Okay, in the meantime, zakat in terms of terminology is to set aside a certain amount of property or for a certain rates. This to be given to those who are entitled to receive, especially the poor. According to Malik scholars, give the definition that zakat remove a certain portion of property that have reached the nisab to the person who is entitled to receive it. Not much different from Hanafiyah, which is according to him, zakat is the granting of ownership right to certain property from certain property to certain people who have been determined by the Sharia. While the Shafi'iyah scholars give the meaning that zakat is the name of good issues for property or body, which is human self of for zakat fitrah to certain parties, while zakat according to Hanabilah is an obligatory right over certain property to certain group at a certain time. Okay, this slide show the main purpose of zakat. Okay, the main purpose of zakat first is to distribute zakat to help the poor and needy so that no one suffer in a country. Okay, the second is zakat is collected from the able-bodied, especially the rich, and then spent for the poor as well as able to cleanse the zakat prayers to get blessing from Allah SWT by giving help to the less fortunate to continue living. Okay. Third is to create the nature of gratitude for the blessing bestowed by Allah SWT among those who are, in addition to reduce feeling of envy among the fortunates. Okay. And lastly, to creating a relationship between the servant and Allah SWT, between the relationship between pupil and pupil. Okay. Okay, we go to the rate of property that qualify to someone pay zakat. Okay, in performing zakat, there are 5 obligatory conditions of zakat where Islamic scholars agree that zakat is only obligatory on mature Muslims who are sane, independent, and have a certain amount of wealth with certain condition, which is first is property fully owned. Okay, fully ownership is term consisting of two words, which is ownership and fullness of the ownership. Ownership, according to the terminology, is infinitive, which means master and usable, while the meaning of full property, according to Hanafi scholars, his property must be in his hand. Okay, Maliki scholars argue one should have the right to act in the property he owns. Meanwhile, according to ulama Syafi'i and Hambali, the property is in his hand and used according to his wish and get the fruit and not relate to the right of others. Okay, net is enough nisab, which means it is not obligatory for zakat on people who do not have nisab. The scholars agree that enough nisab in addition of agriculture zakat is a mandatory condition of zakat. Abu Hanifah argue that more or less of the produce that grow from the lands should be paid zakat of 10%. Meanwhile, according to the majority of scholars, nisab is a provision that obligate zakat on all words. Okay, the last is debt-free. Jumhur ulama argue that debt is a barrier to obligatory zakat or can reduce its obligatory provision in the case of store worth such as money and merchandise. Okay. Okay, we go to the pillars of paying zakat. As we can see, there are 3 pillars. Okay, first is intention. The zakat only happen with the intent. Zakat is different from paying debt because paying debt is not worship. The debt fell on the pretext of dropping the mustahik. Unlike zakat, no one has the right to drop zakat from the person who is obligated to it. Most scholars agree that intention is obligatory in zakat and other act of worship. Okay, the second is the property given is zakat property. Okay, what is meant by zakat property is property that meet the element of zakat condition that have been mentioned in previous slide. Okay, until the zakat is not valid if it does not meet those condition. Okay, the lastly is property is given to asna zakat. Okay, zakat is an obligatory gift in property to the entitled by giving it to the obligatory zakat or its representative by deciding the interest from the owner. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next, my name is Muhammad Faris Hilman bin Abdul Rahman, and I will continue for the pupil involved in the payment of zakat. People who involved in the payment of zakat have two sections. The first is mustahik and the second is muzakir. And next is eight group that are entitled to receive of zakat. The first is Fakir, poor pupil, Amil, Mu'allaf, Riqab, Gharim, Sabilillah, and Ibn Sabil. Okay, for the Fakir, which means Muslim who do not have property or employment. That means Fakir are Muslim who do not have property or employment or have income but do not reach 50% of the kifayah limit for personal or personal needs of their dependent. And the second is for poor pupil. Have means have halal property or income that can only cover 50%. Means for pupil miskin, Muslim who have halal property or income it can only 50% covers for personal need or personal needs and dependent but do not reach the kifayah limit. And the third is Amil. Amil, person assigned by the authority to withdraw zakat. Meaning Amilin is a person assigned by the authority to withdraw zakat from the person entitled to pay zakat. Amil can consist of the poor or the person who manage and administer the collection, distribution, or supervision of zakat financial affairs. And the next is number 4, mu'allaf. Mu'allaf, which means people who have just converts to Islam. Okay, mu'allaf is a person who is expected to soften his heart or divert his sympathy to Islam or strengthen his faith or avoid his will of effort against Islam. So this group can consist of people who have just converted to Islam, namely those whose heart have just become accustomed to Islam and receive guidance to embrace Islam so that they feel there is a place of dependence to face future challenge or even those who have not yet embraced Islam. And the next is number 5 is Riqab. Riqab those who are owned by their masters means Riqab is those who are honored by their masters to enable them to liberate, redeem themselves, each of which existed in pre-Islamic times and the remnant are still there when Islam was revealed. Since then, Islam has sought to eliminate it in various ways. Allah has commanded the Muslim to give an opportunity to his well-behaved servants to free themselves. And the next is number 6, Gharim. Gharim means indebted person and is a person who is in debt for the sake of earning of living for others or improve the situation of family and relative in a good way. And the next is Sabilillah. Sabilillah is those who fight, defend Syiar of Islam. Sabilillah literally means a way that can convey man to God. Its reach is very wide, covering various fields of struggle and worship, both in terms of religion, education, science, culture, art, peace, and defense. Good deeds for the benefit of Muslims as well as effort that can increase the strength and success of religion and country. In short, Sabilillah is those who fight, strive, defend and increase the application and Syiar of Islam. And the last is Ibn Sabil, deliverer of street child. Literally, Ibn Sabil is defined as a street child. That is the travel or the person who travel and run out supply until he find it difficult to return to his place. People who travel in various countries do not have supply on the way, so they are entitled to receive zakat only to meet their needs until they reach their country. This law also applies to a person planning a trip while he or she does not have suppliers. So he or she can be given from zakat property to meet the cost of return and return.
Next, we go to our main contents of presentation, which is issue number 1, regarding paying zakat to asnaf outside Malaysia, and issue number 2 regarding paying zakat to non-Muslim. So both of the issue will be discussed by views of 4 major mazhab, which is Imam Abu Hanifah, Imam Maliki, Imam Shafi'i, and lastly Imam Hanbali. Next, we go to the issue number 1, that was paying zakat to asnaf outside Malaysia. So from views of the jurists, it was divided by 2 views, which is number 1, paying zakat without desire, need or reason that allowed by the Syariah, which means memberi zakat tanpa keperluan ataupun sebab yang dibenarkan oleh Syariah. And then number 2, paying zakat because of desire, needs or reasons that allowed by the Syariah, which means memberi zakat disebabkan oleh keperluan dan sebab yang dibenarkan oleh Syariah. So for the first views of jurists, majority of jurists said it is not permissible to pay zakat without intention, except the Hanafiya scholars that permissible to do so, but the law is makruh, which means majoriti daripada para ulama para mazhab mengatakan ianya tidak dibenarkan untuk memberi zakat tanpa niat atau tanpa sebab, kecuali ulama daripada mazhab Hanafi yang mengatakan ianya dibenarkan tetapi hukumnya jatuh kepada makruh. So the law for paying zakat without needs is haram, except Hanafiya scholars, because there was no need for other country that desperate for zakat, and the zakat for origin country must distribute only for asnaf in their country only, which means hukum memberi zakat kepada golongan yang tidak memerlukan, ulama bersepakat bahawa ianya jatuh kepada haram, kecuali ulama mazhab Hanafi yang mengatakan ianya makruh. Kerana mengapa majoriti ulama daripada ketiga-tiga mazhab mengatakan ianya haram? Kerana tidak perlu untuk sesebuah negara itu memberi zakat pada negara yang tidak memerlukan. Jadi zakat untuk negara tersebut hanya perlu diagihkan kepada majoriti untuk negara tersebut saja. Kerana kerana zakat ini hanya diberikan kepada golongan yang memerlukan. Kepada golongan yang tidak memerlukan zakat ini, maka ianya tidak perlu, tidak ada alasan untuk negara seseorang itu untuk menerima zakat. For the second views, which is paying zakat with the intention or reason that was allowed by the Sharia, so majority of the jurists said it was permissible because the purpose of zakat is to help other people in problem and desperate situation, although the asnaf is from other country. Jadi majority daripada ulama mazhab mengatakan ianya dibenarkan untuk memberi zakat kepada golongan yang memerlukan, walaupun golongan asnaf itu berada di negara yang lain. Kerana golongan zakat diperkenalkan adalah untuk membantu golongan yang berada dalam kesusahan, yang berada dalam kesempitan hidup. So the country of origin zakat that they were less need the zakat or they have access zakat property in their country are encouraged to give zakat to asnaf for other country. Ianya bermaksud negara yang mempunyai lebihan zakat itu adalah digalakkan untuk membantu negara Islam yang berada dalam kesempitan, berada dalam darurat. Sebagai contoh, negara Islam yang berada dalam keadaan kemelesetan ekonomi, ataupun negara Islam yang mengalami peperangan, ataupun negara Islam yang mengalami bencana alam. Jadi negara yang mempunyai lebihan zakat ini adalah digalakkan untuk membantu negara Muslim yang lain. So all of this situation can be used as a basis or reason to paying zakat to other place that are more in need or desperate. So based on the hadith above, it can be said that help other Muslim is priority and very important as a Muslim to help each other, especially when other Muslim face big problem. Islam is a harmony religion that told all Muslims to care in each other, although in different countries, different ethnics, and different nation. Next, we go to the fatwa from Sheikh Abdul Aziz bin Baz, which is he is former Mufti of Saudi Arabia. Regarding of this issue, which is paying zakat to asnaf other country, the former Mufti of Saudi Arabia have made fatwa about give zakat to Gaza because of that country facing a war. According to him, it is a law even more should be given priority to send aid such as infak or zakat to the land of Gaza. Berkenaan dengan isu memberi zakat kepada asnaf untuk negara yang lain, asnaf negara yang lain, Mufti daripada Saudi Arabia ni mengatakan memberi zakat ataupun infak kepada negara yang memerlukan, ataupun sebagai contoh negara Gaza yang sedang menghadapi krisis peperangan, adalah digalakkan untuk sesebuah negara itu untuk membantu negara Gaza ini. Kerana negara tersebut sangat-sangat memerlukan kewangan, sangat-sangat memerlukan bantuan kerana mereka sedang menghadapi krisis peperangan yang sangat teruk. Rakyat di negara tersebut memerlukan makanan, memerlukan pakaian, memerlukan tempat tinggal. Jadi negara Muslim yang lain adalah digalakkan untuk membantu rakyat di negara tersebut. As I said before, this is because the people of Gaza are facing the pressure of war, brutal killings, as well as the bombing of homes and residents. They are very desperate for our help and donations, as well as the support and encouragement of Muslims around the world. They need our help in all aspects of aid that can be channeled to the redeveloped the Gaza region, which was badly hit by the enemy. So, this was our responsibility to help our brothers Muslim, our sister Muslim from other country. That's all from me.
Okay, we go to the next issue, which is giving zakat to non-Muslim based on four schools, which is Hanafi, Hanbali, Maliki, and Shafi'i.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Muhammad Shahmi bin Sukri. Today I will be presenting about zakat to non-Muslim view of Hanafi and Hanbali schools. For the problems of giving zakat to non-Muslim, first is the Hanafi schools. Imam Hanafi and its student Muhammad allows giving zakat to the non-Muslim that is categorized as poor Zimmi non-Muslim. First evidence from the Hanafi schools is based on Surah Al-Baqarah verse 271, which is A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. In tubdu sadaqati fa ni'mahi wa in tukhfuha wa tu'tuha al-fuqara fa huwa khairul lakum wa yukaffiru ankum min sayyi'atikum wallahu bima ta'maluna khabir. Which means if you disclose your charitable expenditure, they are good, but if you conceal them and give them to the poor, it is better for you, and he will remove from you some of your misdeeds thereby, and Allah with what you do is fully acquainted. This verse doesn't differentiate between the poor Muslim and the non-Muslim except on the problems of zakat mal. There are also no prohibition in the Islamic law of doing good. The other reason that comes along with the permission is because giving zakat to non-Muslim also bringing good to them. It is also can be a factor of changing views of them for Islam. And then second evidence in the Hanafi schools based on Surah Al-Ma'idah verse 89, which is A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. La yu'akhidhukumullahu bil-laghwi fi aymanikum walakin yu'akhidhukum bima 'aqadtumul ayman. فكفارته إطعام 10 مساكين من أوسط ما تطعمون أهليكم أو كسوتهم أو تحرير رقبة فمن لم يجد فصيام 3 أيام ذلك كفارة أيمانكم إذا حلفتم واحفظوا أيمانكم كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تشكرون صدق الله العظيم. Which means Allah will not impose blame upon you for what is meaningless in your oath, but He will impose blame upon you for breaking what you intended of oath. So its punishment is the feeding of 10 needy people from the average of that which you feed your own families, or clothing them, or the freeing of a slave. But whoever cannot find or afford it, then a fast of 3 days is required. That is the punishment for oath when you have sworn, but guard your oath. Thus does Allah make clear to you His verses, that you may be grateful. Sheikh Wahbah al-Zuhaili stated, based on the verse above, that in this verse there is also not stated whether the poor that needs to be fed has to be Muslim or non-Muslim, except for the non-Muslim that is categorized as harbi, as they fight and rebel against Islam, and giving zakat to them indirectly helping them to fight against Islam. On the other side, giving zakat to zimmi non-Muslim includes as one of the way of good acts that bring benefits to them, and a Muslim is not blocked to do that to them. Next is the Hanbali schools. There are two reasons that makes giving zakat to non-Muslim is permissible in Hanbali schools. First is zakat can change any negative view about Islam in the non-Muslim thoughts to accept Islam. And second is giving zakat to the non-Muslim that is feared that his action can give bad impacts on Islam. For the evidence in Hanbali schools, first is for the non-Muslim that is hope to accept Islam, which is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives camel to Safwan bin Umayyah that is not Muslim. Sheikh Ibn Qudamah tells that once Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam at the time when opening Mecca giving guarantee of peace to Safwan bin Umayyah, Safwan tests Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam for about 4 months to see the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam moral and ethics. He also followed Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Hunain War, when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave some things and Safwan asked to Prophet about what is that. Then Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, showing signs to the hill that is located camel at it. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that it is for him, and he answered back, that is a giving from a person that is not fear of poor. In this story, it can be seen that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives some things to Safwan bin Umayyah, yet this story became one of the evidence in the Hanbali schools for permission of giving zakat to the non-Muslim that is hope in acceptance of Islam. Then the second story for the non-Muslim that is feared that his action can give bad impacts to Islam, which is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam giving to a group of non-Muslim. The point of giving zakat to non-Muslim is hope that zakat can prevent his bad action and also his follower. As there are once a group of non-Muslim come to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Prophet gives something to them, they will praise that Islam is a good religion, and when Prophet doesn't give something to them, they will curse that Islam is a bad religion. This story also become one of the evidence in the Hanbali schools for the permission of giving zakat to the non-Muslim that is feared that his action can bring hardship to Islam.
Okay, I am Amirul. We go to the Maliki scholars. Okay, it show Imam Malik state that zakat cannot be given to the non-Muslim. It is based on the hadith by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam narrated by Muaz bin Jabal, which mean Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Khuzha min aghniyaihim wa rudduha ala fuqaraihim. The meaning is, take zakat from some rich people and give to the poor. Okay, as we can see, based from hadith above, Imam Malik understand that the real meaning of poor in the hadith point to the poor Muslim and not anyone else. This indicates that the non-Muslim are not eligible to receive allocation for zakat. Okay, as zakat is one of the pillars in Islam that a sovereign ruling, it can also be stated in general that anyone is eligible to receive zakat. It must be an Islam and freedom. Okay, we go to the state by Ibn Arafah that the requirement of poor people is first is Muslim and second is freedom. Okay, it can be understand that Imam Malik insists that allocation for zakat only can be received by Muslim only, and the non-Muslim are exempt from receiving zakat. Okay, thank you.
Okay, the first is from the Shafi'i school. First is Imam Shafi'i himself state in his book entitled Al-That those who embrace the religion or those whose hearts are softer are only those who convert to Islam and should not be given zakat for the politics to attract them to convert to Islam. For the example is some state that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given zakat to the converts who are among the idolaters. So the answer is that it is not from the property of zakat, but from the booty or alfai of or from the will of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. Okay, the next is from base Surah At-Taubah verses 60 means the aim are meant only for the poor and the needy and those who are in charge thereof, those who was hurt to be reconciled and to free those in bondage and to help those burdened with debt and for expenditure in the way of Allah and for the welfare. This is an obligation from Allah. Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. Based on the verse, there are some scholars who think that non-Muslim can still receive zakat based on the provision of al-mu'allafah qulubuhum, which means people who turn their hearts toward Islam. Okay, next is based on Surah At-Taubah verse 58 and 59 means, and among them are some who criticize you concerning the distribution of charities. If they are given from them, they approve, but if they are not given from them, at once they become angry. If only they had been satisfied with what Allah and his messenger gave them and said, sufficient for us is Allah. Allah will give us of his bounty, and so will his messenger. Indeed, we are desirous toward Allah. It would have been better from them. From the verse saying Al-Imam Ibn Al-Qudamah in Al-Mughni state the Kufa is divided into two groups, and the matter is also supported by Sheikh Dr. Yusuf Al-Qardawi and Dr. Abdul Karim Zaidan and so on. Okay, the first is someone who is expected to convert to Islam, and the second is someone who is worried about the evil. Okay, the first is someone that is hope to be converted to Islam. He is given zakat to his wish increasing, and his heart is tending toward Islam and last become a Muslim. And the second is someone who is worried about the evil. Means second, someone that who are worried about the crime. Zakat is give with hope that throughout the giving that it will be prevent his evil doing and those who will follow him. Okay, the next is Dr. Umar Sulaiman Al-Ashkar said that this text is very clear that these people will get sadaqat, which is zakat. The gift is to tame their heart to Islam. certainly not yet embrace Islam the hurts of the hurts that people criticize Prophet Muhammad SAW about zakat. It also shows that are not Muslim yet and there is no opportunity for them to criticize Prophet Muhammad SAW as it is a doing that can lead to disbelief. So this verse shows mean that Prophet Muhammad SAW gives zakat to non-Muslim to tame their heart in his period. This the opinion, the permit given zakat to non-Muslim with the intention of da'wah. This is relevant in this day. It can also give good impression toward Islam for the convert that is Muslim or not yet Muslim. Okay, the next is for the non-Muslim that declare fight with Islam that can be given a saint of zakat word. This is based on Al-Quran Sunnah, which is Mumtahanah verses 8 and 9. Okay, the meaning of Surah Al-Mumtahanah verse 8 and 9 is Allah does not forbid you from those who do not fight you because of religion and do not expel you from your homes, from being righteous toward them and acting justly toward them. Indeed, Allah loves those who act justly. Allah only forbid you from those who fight you because of religion and expel you from your homes and aid in your expulsion, forbids that you make allies of them, and whoever makes allies of them, then it is those who are wrongdoers. Okay, the lastly is conclusion. In conclusion, we can see that comparative view of four major mazhab relating the zakat, which have two kind of issue, which the first issue is paying zakat to asnaf outside Malaysia, and the second issue is paying zakat to non-Muslim. We are hoping that the Muslim do not respond to this problem, this issue that will only divide and break the unity of the people. In addition, be open and tolerant when facing the problem of sectarian difference. It can also help improve and add various knowledge for the unity of the Ummah. What is important for Muslims is to work together to uphold Islamic law. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you.